This is the Amaran Verge Max, a 22-inch bi-color panel light that is brilliant for desk setups or lighting up a small space. Now this is my current desk setup. The Cobb light with the clunky softbox served me well, but could the Amaran Verge Max, a 60-watt light, be more elegant on my desk setup? So let's explore. Now this is how it looks like in the dark when the key lights are not on. First up, we have the desk light where it shines down so you can see at the bottom here on the desk. And then I turn on the Godox SL60, which is this part of the light. You can see that it is at least somewhat exposed correctly. And then if I were to turn on the Elgato key light, which is over here, then it balances out all together. In a lot of ways, if I were to just use the Godox SL60, I get this. I'm pretty okay if I'm a little bit hidden underneath the shadows over here a little, but when I have the key light over here, it actually gives me a fuller lit up perspective. But what I truly wanted this light over here is because I could then employ additional view on another camera angle over here where the Elgato key light actually shines on me. This becomes the secondary light. Right behind me, if you can see those blue lights over there, which I can change it to red and green or whatever, those are house light. These are G-Light smart bulb. They're not very bright, they're not calibrated, and they do flickers in camera. Alright, so I've got the Verge Max over here, and I'm gonna now unbox it for good this time around. I think first off I need to break down the Elgato key light first, otherwise it will be blocking the way. Let's just do that, okay? Have I told you guys that this is a loaner unit? This is the first time I'm actually unboxing the light stand, so it is quite hefty. So this is the base that goes onto the desk. We have an extended part where it elongates the top. This is the arm that's going to be holding on to the stand. So this is rather huge of an opening. So if you got a thick table, this would certainly fit. Some of the IKEA table like I have, and the edge has metal bars that's like blocking the entire table, so it's a lot more thicker than the table itself. Having such a big opening over here certainly helped to be more compatible with a lot more tables at least. So just so that you guys see this, having a big clamp over here allows me to clamp this part of the table. Having a bigger clamp like this allows me to actually have my table clamp with this particular stand. I've got like 3 clamps over here now. So I'm going to put in the column. So this is the arm. I've got to figure out how to install this arm on it. So that's the hole. There you go. Alright, and once it's secure, it's not going to go anywhere. We are ready to secure it onto the desk arm, and thankfully this is not very heavy. Okay, and now I'm going to secure it on this side. That's great. You alright, Roadcaster? So there you go. That's how the arm's going to be. The way it can be articulated as a key light. Now straight away in this particular shot, you could see the difference between the Amaran Verge Max over here and also the Godox SL60. The SL60 requires me to have a softbox to have the diffuse light because, you know, big surface of light make the light a little bit more soft, whereas the Verge Max is a very thin light panel. But it's actually rather huge surface, which suggests to me it will be a very soft light for me to actually light myself in front of the camera. I do not know. Let's test it out. And we are back on our desk. Let's turn on the Amaran Verge Max. Let's adjust the intensity right now. I am at somewhere around 10% of the lights. Okay, I think let's bring it up a little bit higher. If this is the only light that I am going to be turning on. So how this works is the Amaran Verge Max is a 60-watt power light, and at 10% this is how bright it is. I don't need it to be very bright to balance the lights that's behind me, otherwise it will be all washed out. Now speaking of washout, one way is to have grids on the Amaran Verge light where they do sell separately, and that way we can definitely control the spill of the light. But what it is, at about 10% of a 60-watt light, we possibly be able to balance out the light pretty alright. And this is how it looks like right now. What do you think? Is this good of a frame for you to be streaming from? If you're pretty happy with this look, this is one light solution with some background lights over there. Of course, I've got the SL60 that's on my left. If I were to turn it on, it becomes a filler. It takes out all the shadow on the side and still balancing whatever that's on the back. Now traditionally, with a cop light, we do need to install a softbox to get that kind of soft light that's gonna wrap around our frame. Now I'm using the rectangular one, which is like the smallest one that I can find. What I even actually prefer is a circular one that's big enough to actually wrap, but it is clunky, it is huge. And what the Amaran Verge has is basically replicated that in a very thin, elegant solution. It is a 22-inch panel, which is big, and it is easy to move around. I can bring it down closer to me to give that kind of soft look, because the bigger the light surface, the softer it gets, and it wraps around my talking head right here. And that's why I think the Amaran Verge Max work pretty well. Now let's address some of these background lights that I have here. These are Yeelight bulbs. They are smart bulbs. They can be controlled via Stream Deck and whatever not. But these are home appliances light. These are not studio grade. They are not very bright. Hence, that's why I'm not using the full power of the Amaran 60 watt that I have. So if I were to configure it to go 100%, it's going to be all too bright. I'll possibly need to bring down the ISOs to actually match the brightness over here, and at the end of the day, what happened is that I will have a very washed out background like right now. Okay, so if I were to bring it down back to about 10 to 15%, maybe 15%, and then bring back my ISO, because I need to expose the background for the background to get that kind of blue that I have. Okay, to balance the light. Maybe it's a little bit too hot right now. Bring it down to about 10%. Yeah, and therefore, then I can balance the background. That's if I'm using these G lights behind here. If we have other practical lights which is bright, then of course we can then match all 60-watt lights to the full capacity, and we get the nice quality light that the Amaran Verge will be able to give us. And this is how I think a good frame could be. Check this out. I still got one more light. Okay, this is my own lightsaber. This is the Amaran PT2C. Let me turn it on. And it's blue right now. Let me just put it at the back as a background light. So ideally, once I set everything up, the frame looks something like this. I could even zoom in a little to sort of like not have my bed in the frame, and essentially it looks something like this. What do you think? What do you think about this talking head right here right now? With that said, let's jump into the Amaran app, shall we? Because all the new Amaran lights nowadays comes with Bluetooth, works together with the app, and I think it's a chef touch having the Amaran Verge light able to control with the Stream Deck. Let's get into it. So this is the Amaran app itself. I'm going to add a new device. Okay, so it straight away sense that there is a device nearby, which is the Amaran Verge Max over here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to select OK. If you don't see it here, you might want to reset the Bluetooth connectivity on the Amaran Verge Max itself, but I see it here. I'm just going to add in straight away, and then it just pairs. I could then control the temperature with the app, and also this 5000 Kelvin and 6005 Kelvin, or I could even like bring down intensity down to like matching my room lights over here, and I'm going to turn on the SL60 altogether as well. Okay. Amaran does provide a plugin on Stream Deck. I've already programmed my PT2C with a couple of buttons that I can control via Bluetooth through the Amaran desktop app. So the prerequisite is that you have to have the Amaran desktop app installed onto the machine, and then have the Stream Deck plugin on the Stream Deck itself, and I can certainly change the lights that's right behind there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'll go into the Amaran controller over here. I could then maybe drag another button that says on off, and the device is gonna be Amaran Verge Max on and off, so that's gonna be a toggle. All right, so now when I click on off, it turns off by itself, and then turn on. Of course, after all this is said and done, after I set up the Amaran app, and after I've configured the Amaran Verge Max on my Stream Deck, if I were to press on the party mode, it goes this way. It turns off the main light, it focuses on the back lights, and it starts to dance around with music, you know, and with one touch of a button, it brings back the lights, and I can continue streaming. How about that? Do you like that? And with the party mode, I think we should wrap up. What do you think about the Amaran Verge Max? Do you know that they also have an Amaran Verge itself? It's a smaller panel. Do you think you want to know about it in this channel? Let's have a discussion below. Now, I'll be using this live for a couple of days, and if I've got any new findings, I'll let you guys know in the description. So do subscribe if you are interested in content like this, or photography content, or any content creation in general. Alright, my name is John. Thank you for watching this episode. I'll see you guys in the next one.